Hi, I'm Jen.
I'm Aaron.
And what we're going to cover today is probably one of the top questions I get, and that is how to make a fist and how to punch, right? So there's a lot of different ways that people do this, and they all have their own method and their own reasoning for that. So what I'm going to show you is the way I do it and what works for me. Okay. So we already know that when we punch, or when I punch, what I don't do is I don't squeeze my hand. I think the more traditional way of thinking of how to make a punch, or when you impact something, is that if he has a focus mitt, right? Put it against your chest. Yeah. So when I touch, right? As soon as you make impact, you squeeze the fist. You squeeze it, make it hard, right? At the point of impact, and then immediately, as fast as you can, relax. So it's boom, and then relax, right? It's kind of the more common way. This is not how I do it, though. Okay. What I do is, one, I don't curl. You always see the knuckles being curled in to the fist like this, right? I don't do this. Okay. What I do is I take the fist and I just bring my hands, and I see my fingers. Okay. They're not curled in. They just relax like this. My thumb is relaxed. See this? Right? So that there's like a air inside. Okay. So it's very loose. Now, when I hit something hard, okay, I don't squeeze. I don't do this. Okay. I just allow what happens is that the impact, so my body pressure going into the pad, right, and his body pushing back in, okay, forces my hand to close. See, when I give him pressure, you're going to see my fingers. They want to naturally close. See? So it's not me going, I'm going to close my hand when I make impact. Okay? That means like I'm in charge of the fist. Don't think of it like that. Just think of the fist. Okay? I always tell you guys, cut off your forearm. Pretend like you cut off your forearm. None of this makes any difference. It doesn't make. Don't focus on this part, right? So that includes the fist. That means that when I punch, I'm not concerned about my hand. Okay? So that when I make impact, okay, the impact is what closes my fist for me. Okay? See that? Like that. Okay? The second thing is, well, okay. So some people go, well, if your hand is loose and relaxed, then isn't there like a good chance you're going to hurt your hand? And I've never had a problem with that. Like if he puts it against the wall, right, like this. All right. So now, when I punch, right, when I hit, right, my fist is relaxed, and then when I give pressure to through my body, right, you're going to see my hand close. See? The second thing you're noticing I'm doing is I'm focusing on the bottom part of my hand. So that we did a video a long time ago, about putting on the hat, right? And the difference, stretching the arm out. Okay? When you do a stretch, when you stretch the pinky up, or I'm sorry, not the pinky up, the pinky down, and your fingers up, right? When you do this, you stretch this whole bottom side of your muscle. This whole all this muscle down here, and the tendon and everything, it all stretches. Okay. This is a really strong arm now, right? So when I punch, right, I'm focusing on driving from as soon as I make the impact, as soon as my hand touches, I stretch the bottom side. Stretch the bottom side. Stretch. just like that. And I'm not closing my hand. I'm just allowing the pressure behind my elbow to close my hand for me. That's it. That's it. Right? So now, when I align everything and I do everything right, then the more pressure you put into your elbow and more body pressure you put into your hand, the more the hand will squeeze, right? So it's like almost like a safety device. Your hand will close more intensely the more pressure you put behind your elbow. So I don't have to worry about how much do I squeeze or how much should I do to tighten and then relax. I don't do any of that. I'm always relaxed. Okay. So when I hit, all right, I use my whole body, right? Right? My hand just relaxes. See? So you see my hit? That's what's driving the punch through my elbow. Right? That's it. So if you have a wall bag, this is how I practice. Right? Just like this. Right? And just put your body into it like this, and condition the wrist so that you get used to the movement. Okay? Bringing the wrist up, not trying to squeeze like this. Just let your hand naturally squeeze. Right? And then punch. Punch. So it doesn't matter how much pressure I put into my hand. Okay? My wrist never hurts me. It doesn't hurt my hand. Right? Because the hand, the more pressure I put behind it, the more it wants to squeeze. So it's already protecting itself. I don't have to do anything. Right? The other thing is, I know a lot of people, they punch very vertical like this. Right? Like straight up and down. This one, when the bones are like this, the wrist is really not designed to be aligned this way. The wrist is actually aligned to be like this. Okay? Really? The wrist. That's how come if you punch like this. That's how come they have to. If you punch vertical like this, straight up, straight down. I think this is my own opinion. I think this is why they have to squeeze really hard and then relax. Because when it's straight up and down, the wrist has movement side to side. It can play side to side. So you have to protect it, that movement from going side to side. Because why? The wrist naturally wants to go to here. Either one way or the other way. Right? The middle position, that means that you have to squeeze to protect that movement from turning your wrist. Right? Then you relax. So you hit and then relax, right? So that you don't do this or you don't do this, right? Okay? But if you already come to here, if you already come to its natural position, right? Then there is no more play. You can't move it anymore. See? So now when I roll when I hit here and I add my body, right? The energy all goes out my hand because it's not in this position. There's no play side to side. So when I go like a little bit like this, right? Like the shape of like a heart. See, like a heart, right? So I do this. So if the pen is already in this position, alignment, then if pressure comes into my wrist or into my knuckles here, okay, my body is already aligned behind the wrist. The wrist can't go back anymore. It's already there. So, to me, this is a more natural position for the wrist. So when I punch, I put it in that position already. See? It's in my heart shape. Right? And then from here, now I can drive as much pressure as I want, right? And get it into the pad or to my opponent. And I don't have to try to stop my wrist from going side to side because it's already slightly to the side. It's already there. So then my body can now push into the pad. So I guess I mean I'm not an expert on wrists and bone alignment stuff.
Oh, you
but
are.
To me, it just the wrist when it's back, when it's fully sideways, especially in this position, right? This position, it's really strong. It's very, very strong. You do a push-up, your wrists are in that position. See, they're strong. Your wrist doesn't break, and you put your whole body weight on it, right? And then, you know, people sit on your back, make it even harder. You do push-up. Your wrists don't break because they're already in a locked position. They can't go anymore. See what I mean? You get it? But if the wrists were, let's say if I did this and I did it straight, okay, and then you put somebody heavy on me and I'm doing push-ups, and then my wrist buckled, now you can hurt your wrist. If your wrist buckled really quick and snap into this position, now you can hurt your wrist. But if you're already bent, if you're already like this, there's no place for the wrist to go. It's already in its locked position. So I hope that makes sense to people, right? So that's how come I punch this way. To me, it's more natural for the wrist to be in this position. It's unnatural to be in the straight vertical position, which is why the wrist will, if it's relaxed and you hit something hard this way, it's going to possibly go cockeyed and really snap your wrist. That's how come they squeeze so that the wrist doesn't move. But to me, again, that kind of defeats the whole purpose of letting energy out your body, out your hand, right? Get it? That's what it's all about. So just relax, okay? Train this way. See if it works for you. You give it a little shot. Don't practice hard. Just practice soft. Get a partner or get a wall bag or a sandbag. They have the sandbags you hit, right? And just practice with a little bit of a cockeyed position. Try to stay relaxed so that you're not trying to make a fist. See, my hand doesn't curl too much. See? Because I'm not giving them much pressure. See, my fingers are not. They don't have to close because there's very little pressure behind my elbow, right? But once I start to give them more pressure, right, then you're going to see that my fingers have to start to close. Okay? But I never have to worry about my wrist because my wrist is already in this position. Okay? So just practice like this. Okay? Or initially just practice like this and just roll, stretch this bottom side. Stretch, 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 stretch. And then you're going to feel your fingers collapse. They're going to naturally squeeze. Right? See how much weight can you get behind that elbow, right? How much weight, right? See if you can get it to come out your hand, right? And then little by little, just practice, just light, see? Right? That's it. Right? That's it. So it has, for me, that's how I do it. I know it's not the normal conventional way. They say, the straight vertical fist, but I don't know. It's always worked for me. This is always the way I did it, and it goes in line with the concepts that I try to follow, which is I never want my third stick, this part of the hand, right? Okay, to be connected to my body, which means that if I squeeze, even for an instant, that arm becomes an iron bar and it becomes connected to my body. So now when I squeeze, even if it's just for a second, a millisecond, right? No. Right? And I squeeze and he pushes my arm and I squeeze, okay? And you push, right? Then see, my body gets interrupted, right? Or if I squeeze, okay, and he catches my timing and he pulls me. Pull. See? He pulls my hand, and because it's tense, he ends up moving my body. Right? So I don't ever want to give him that chance. Right? So when I punch, right, this part is always relaxed. So that my fist, no matter if I don't get to the master bedroom, if there's no pressure in front of the fist, it never wants to close. It just stays relaxed. So I punch, right, and Aaron defends that punch. He poxiles or something, right? See? There's nothing in front. There's no pressure here. So that's how come I'm always like this. There's nothing here. right? See that? So I'm just staying. My hand is always relaxed. I can focus on my chi because my hand is relaxed, right? Then let's say I get in, right? But then once I'm here, once I make impact, once it hits something, that's when my body pushes and everything closes now. Okay? So it's not that I'm thinking of this process. I have no control over that process. As soon as my hand touches and there's pressure coming back into my elbow, right? My hand wants to push, push, push. My hand wants to squeeze. Push. My hand wants to squeeze. See? Because there's pressure coming into my fist and there's pressure coming back into my fist through my elbow. So my hand wants to now squeeze. Right? So that's how I punch. Give it a shot. I know a lot of you are don't do it this way. I know. I don't know. Probably most of you punch it this way and squeeze and then relax. Right? Now, like I said, it's not wrong. I'm just trying to explain to you why I do it this way, and maybe you can give it a shot and maybe it'll work for you. Right? But like I said, I'm always trying to adhere to the concepts of that make Wing Chun work. Right? And we all know that you should never be tense in the hand or the forearm, right? Because then you allow that person to take your center, take your center of gravity. So I just don't do it. I always stay relaxed. Okay? So that's it. Also, Jason, and if you haven't been watching the videos, Mike is in Beijing, and he's training with an MMA fighter over there. His name is Jason. So now they're training together. So that's great. I really think it's good that Mike continues his training, and hopefully they can both learn from each other. So and that's it. All right. So thank you, and we'll see you guys soon.